Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first power session in the Strengthen the Harmony Between Your Life, Family, and Work series. I am so delighted that you're able to join me today. For those of you who don't yet know me, my name is Judy Whalen. I am the host for the series, and I am also the founder of the Center for Strategic Change. The Center for Strategic Change is the sponsor for Strengthen the Harmony program. So to just give you a little bit of background, because those of you who don't know me, I don't want to spend lots of this 30 minutes talking about my background. It's just that I've worked with businesses, nonprofit leaders for the past 30 years, helping them think strategically about how they want to grow their organization. And you can find more information about my background on the Center for Strategic Change website and on the strengthentheharmony.com website. So that's the background on myself. But before we jump into the actual slides and the training today, I want to give you a little insight as to why I decided to offer this series of power sessions. You know, over those 30 years of working with business owners and nonprofit leaders, I began to study what makes successful people, business owners, nonprofit leaders, other folks. And as I studied that, I began to see a connection between the fact that they are very, very talented experts in their chosen field. But they, like the rest of us, all struggle with other aspects of their life, keeping what we call work-life balance there. That I was able to see, and I researched the fact that people, as we struggle with work-life balance, we struggle with health, we struggle with keeping relationships healthy. And so as I studied the signs of success, I also discovered that there were strained relationships, there were health issues that developed, there were lack of attention to their own needs. So all of these things started to feed into my psyche. And I thought, what can I do to help these people that I serve through the Center for Strategic Change also have that same amount of success in other aspects of their life? And so that's how Strengthen the Harmony program was developed. And that's what we're going to begin to focus on in these 5 power sessions. So that's the reasons for me wanting to get this series power sessions off the ground. So let's jump into the actual training. So as you can see, the next 5 sessions will also begin at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's see if we can get this moving here. Okay, so the purpose for this series, as I started to tell you, is things that I researched, things that I actually saw in workplaces. The purpose of this series is that I want to offer a different approach to how we think about work-life balance. You know, there's so much information in the marketplace, in the media that we see on TV about work-life balance. And I can just share with you from what I have heard as I've been out serving clients, is that work-life balance is harder than it seems, or harder than what we read about when we're reading about it in the media or in magazines. And so I want to offer you a different way to think about work-life balance. So here's the format for today's power session. I'm going to just give you some general information about the series, since this is the first one in the series. We're going to talk about the difference between harmony and balance. We're going to touch briefly on the busyholic syndrome and its characteristics. I'm going to share with you a power session tip, because each one of these power sessions will offer you a tip that can help you achieve that harmony in your life. And then we'll do a quick wrap up. So, about the series. Okay, there's 5 sessions in the series. It's every week from now until September 27th. It's every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It is live streamed, so all you need to do is come to my LinkedIn page, or if you're able to access Strengthen the Harmony Facebook page, it'll be live streamed there as well. Because there are different learning styles, we all have different ways that we learn and the way that we take in information. I will be using PowerPoint, even though there's lots of controversy about using PowerPoint and slides during a live stream. There are people who learn simply by auditory, so they would be really happy if I just spoke to you without any visuals. There's people who learn only by visual, so they prefer the slides. There's people who learn by auditory and by putting information in on the keyboard. And then there's those of us who learn by both hearing and reading. So the slides are merely a tool, and hopefully that doesn't put anyone off. The next power session is Tuesday, September 6th at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. There will be a recording of each session, and it is posted. The recordings are posted on the Center for Strategic Change's YouTube channel. And later in this process, I can give you a link as to where that is. And at the end of each session, there is a special gift. So let's just get on with it so that we can get through the session and you can get to that special gift. So as we move through this session, because it's only 30 minutes, it's really difficult to get a lot of engagement going. But I want to be sure that we can answer questions. So just put your questions in the chat. And what we'll be doing is we'll be monitoring the chat. We'll be taking questions and, copying them down and sending you the answers between sessions, okay? So if you want to have your question answered, drop a question in the chat. If there's time during the session, I might be able to answer it. If not, we will answer it between sessions. If you are listening and you didn't have a question, but you want to have access to all the questions and answers, just put your email in the chat. And if you're uncomfortable doing it so everybody can see it, just private message me and we'll get you the answers so that you get all the answers to all the questions. Okay, we got to move forward here, slide. So as we move through this whole series, I want you to be able to keep in mind that we're focusing on that big topic that's out already in the environment of work-life balance. But my goal with this whole series is to help you refine how you think about work-life balance so that you're not struggling and getting more stressed trying to achieve it. Because that's what I see. And that's what I hear from working young people, is that they're trying to juggle it all. And by trying to achieve that work-life balance that they keep hearing about, they're only getting more stressed. So that's what I want to avoid. So the way to avoid that is to focus on harmony. And as we go through this series, I'm going to keep sharing with you not only probably this slide, but ways that you can be achieving harmony. Now, in order to really understand what's coming in the other part of this series, I want to just take in this first session, help you understand just a typical definition of harmony, straight out of the dictionary. This is out of the Merriam-Webster dictionary. So harmony, think about this in terms of harmony being a combination of simultaneous musical notes in a chord. Now, if you have a piece of paper or you've got your computer in front of you, just start recording these words that are in blue. I think they're in blue on your machine. It depends how your screen is adjusted. But in this case, just write down the word simultaneous, because we're going to look at that list again after we get further through this presentation. Okay, now another part of harmony is a pleasing arrangement of parts. So jot down pleasing arrangement. And we're going to think about these words as it starts to impact your life. So another aspect of harmony is agreement. And I want you to begin thinking about how agreement fits into your life. And another aspect of harmony is internal calm. Lack of anxiety, lack of stress, calm. And then another aspect of harmony is the internal weaving of different accounts into a single narrative. Okay, now before we go on any further, I want you to think about all those blue words that are on the screen and think about those words in relation to your life. Okay? Your life obviously has all kinds of simultaneous activities, events, things that are going on at the same time, simultaneous. But your life, if we achieve harmony, can have a pleasing arrangement of parts so that it's not conflicting. There'd be a pleasing arrangement. If you think about a beautiful piece of artwork or a beautiful piece of music, pleasing arrangement. Okay? And then the next piece of this in terms of your life Okay, we're back on. I'm sorry if you had an interruption in the connection, but I had a big yellow message on my screen. Connection dropped. Oh, I gotta love the internet and things that go awry, especially when we're talking about internal calm. How appropriate at that exact moment. Internal calm, okay, is part of creating harmony in your life. So think about your life and think about how many times do you really have that internal calm? But our goal in creating harmony in your life is so that you have internal calm more often than not. And now we're talking, I think we were talking about the internal weaving of different accounts into a single narrative. So the internal weaving is bringing all these pieces together. Think of your life like a storyline and bringing all these pieces together from wherever you want to start to wherever this goes. And it becomes a single narrative so that it's not just your work life. It's not just your personal, thinking about you, what you want to achieve, personal life. It's not just your family life. It's not just your social life. We're not in these silos. These are all interwoven together. And when we achieve harmony, that's where you can get that internal calm. You've got the simultaneous activity going on, and you've reduced your stress. So that's how the definition of harmony can be applied to your life. But now I want to go on, if we can get this now that we lost our connection and are back up, to talk about the difference between harmony and balance. So balance, now think about this. Balance implies, well, this is the actual definition right out of the Webster-Merriam Dictionary. Webster says that balance is physical equilibrium, meaning that everything is of the same weight. Now, it doesn't take very long in our life to have that physical equilibrium just get out of whack. All I need to do is see a piece of chocolate and my desire to have that healthy lifestyle can get out of whack. So there's things that come along that can cause us to be out of equilibrium. But another aspect of balance is stability produced by the even distribution of weight. So here they're starting to modify that balance of equal distribution. You can gain equilibrium by adding more weight to certain things. Okay, and I just want you to remember that concept. So jot those down if you've got paper next to you. Another piece of the definition of balance is mental and emotional steadiness. Now, who doesn't want that as we go through life? Instead of being reactive and really stressed out and out of character, mental and emotional steadiness is a piece of balance. And then balance is also described as a means of judging. Now, a means of judging how to make the right choice, how to make the right decision, what you focus on, but we have to have a means to do that. And this is a really interesting aspect, an aesthetically pleasing integration of elements. So if you think of that Rubik's Cube, all those little pieces could be different facets of your life. And when you get that Rubik's Cube tweaked, that everything is aligned, it's this nice, smooth block. And everything fits together real well. But of course, you know that as you're trying to get it to fit real well, there's things that are out of place. So before we go any further, I just want you to think about the words that you might have jotted down about harmony and the words that are on the screen with balance. And this is where I'm hoping this helps you refine how you think about balance, because there are some similarities, but there are some differences. And so the similarity of words, and next time we'll have more information on this. I'm going to dig into this a little deeper. The similarity between harmony and balance is that pleasing integration, pleasing arrangement. So those words are almost identical in the two definitions. The weaving is somewhat similar, but the difference is even distribution of weight. Now, when I first started thinking about this, I went way to the extreme thinking about even distribution, that our life just does not have equal distribution of importance. The elements in our life does not have equal distribution of importance. All you need to have in your life is, say, a sick child, and everything else becomes less important. Or let's say you're looking for a job, and that takes on more importance than perhaps socializing with some friends. There's all kinds of things in our life that, it's like this. It's not a static, let's call it equal distribution of importance. Think of that teeter-totter. That's not how life is. Life is like this. There's things that come along. And what really drove this home for me is when I became responsible for my aging parents. At the same time that I was working to grow my consulting business, at the same time that we had 8 grandchildren who were young, and the parents needed help with daycare and shuffling them around to activities. And it felt like all of a sudden this extra thing was dropped in my lap. And how do I adjust? How do I manage? How do I give it the significance, the importance that it needs? Because when there's things like aging parents, you never know what's going to be coming up. And there's all kinds of doctor's appointments and emergencies that came up. And that really drove home the fact, when I started thinking about balance at that point in my life, I could not think about balance. There was no way. And that's where the whole concept of harmony came in. Because as we go through life, there's times when certain things take on more relative importance. And if we go back to this slide with this one, certain things take on more importance than the other, but there's never really a balance. It's always like this. So let's move on to thinking about this again, because this slide just kind of says it all. Work-life balance is always kind of a tilt. It's either tilting this way or it's tilting that way. Or sometimes it's actually going like this. So when you start to think about work-life balance, I would really prefer if you think about strengthening the harmony rather than calling it work-life balance. Because at different points in time, when you look at this circle of things that impact your life, these 8 circles, and if I was able to get them to spin, that would be the ideal. You'd be able to see the anxiety that this can create, is that we have to keep juggling these things. And within each one of those circles, there's all kinds of things within that you're juggling. So the whole point is, how can you achieve balance when things keep changing? And the way I'm approaching and asking you to refine your approach to work-life balance is, think of it as strengthening the harmony between these elements. And as we move through the series, you're going to find out that there's ways to make those choices that have to be made at different points in your life. And there's a mechanism to help you make those choices. So I also want to spend some time talking about and helping you think about your life. So is this your life? Is this how you feel, that you're on this treadmill? And it's just going, going, going. And you know you're going, but are you making the progress that you want to make? Are you getting to where you want to go? Because so many times I hear clients and I hear colleagues and friends talk about, oh my gosh, I just keep running, running, running. There's so much to do. Or is this your life? Are you juggling all these different facets? You know, you're juggling work if you're employed, you're juggling your home activities, your schedules. If you have kids, oh my goodness, you got tons of schedules. You're juggling hopefully your own health, because if you're not healthy, you're not going to be good for doing the things that need to be done for others. And then you're juggling all the demands of technology. You know, these phones keep us connected all the time. So there's all these things that just keep intruding into, I call it our space. Think about yourself as your own personal space. There's all these things that keep intruding and that you're juggling. And we can sometimes develop the busyholic syndrome. And I'm just going to touch on this briefly this time, and we'll dig into it more in the next couple sessions. But the busyholic syndrome is an actual researched syndrome that can cause us to just I go haywire. You're running, you're doing this, that, and everything. You're trying to keep all your lists of things that you need to do, or for all the different things that you've got going on in your life. And all of a sudden you feel like the woman in this picture. Oh my gosh, I can't take this anymore. Things are spiraling out of control. And I want you to be aware that this is not just women that have a busyholic syndrome. It's also men. Men are just as impacted by busyholic syndrome and about the things that they're juggling in their sphere of life as women. So this is not, it's not related to one gender or another. It affects all genders. So to just help you understand a little bit more about this, it's caused by the fast-paced environments that we live in. You know, think about the business world now, or the work environment. Things move very differently at this pace than they did 20, 30 years ago. It's caused by multitasking. And even though science has proven that women's brains are wired differently than men, and that women are wired to be able to multitask better than men, multitasking still impacts not only our brain function, but how we are able to concentrate and actually get things actually accomplished. And we're able to multitask because of the impact of technology. We have so many tools available to us that we can be, on the phone and doing something else. For instance, I was talking to my sister on Sunday, and she was talking to me. I had my earbud on, so there's a piece of technology, had the phone connected with her, and she's talking, and I sat down and actually sat in a chair for a little bit. And then I thought, I could be washing the windows at the same time that I'm talking to her. Now that's kind of an easier form of multitasking because I wasn't reading anything. But when we're trying to read something and also be working on something else or listening, it's really even more difficult on our brain. Busyholic syndrome also can be caused by self-image issues. And let's just think about it from the angle of, I got to stay really busy because I don't want to fail. That's just one quick example. But there's all kinds of self-image issues that cause us to just be busy so that we can avoid. Busyholic also is caused by just a lack of clarity. We aren't clear on our values. We aren't clear on what our priorities are. We aren't clear on the values, and so that impacts how we make our choices. So lack of clarity can cause us to just be busy in all kinds of things. And then it's a defense mechanism, is that if we're busy, we don't have to really pay attention to ourselves and our inner voice. And we can ignore all that, but we're busy. And so we look like we're successful. We look like we're, doing what's supposed to be done. So those are just some of the causes. Now, here though is the real downfall of the busyholic syndrome. Oh my gosh, when I started thinking about putting these all up, it's like, wow. Busyholic syndrome can cause not only stress, burnout that we see in jobs, exhaustion, self-image issues, lack of focus. There's definite research that shows that busyholics suffer from brain issues. It impacts your ability, your mental capacity to concentrate, to stay focused. You become more forgetful. You're not able to relax, which is absolutely essential in order to keep your brain healthy. Exhaustion, one of the consequences. You don't get enough sleep, or you don't know how to relax. You can't sit still. So it leads to an unhealthy lifestyle, which then leads to certain types of medical conditions. There's anxiety and frustration. So there's all kinds of consequences of busyholic. So as part of this series, Strengthening the Harmony can help you manage busyholic. Because you can be busy and you can manage the busyness, or you can just let the busyness manage you. And so the goal is to help you manage the busyness so that you can manage your life. So my tip this week, because this clock keeps ticking away, it's like, wow, the 30 minutes go so fast. My tip of the week is, and this is going to be challenging for some, is make time for just 5 minutes of quiet. But the quiet is the piece that's the challenge. That means unplug from your technology, put down your phone. I know if you've got young children, even teenage children in the house, 5 minutes of quiet is a real challenge. But find 5 minutes. It's make time, make it a priority. 5 minutes of quiet. And the reason is because as we move through this whole series, my goal is to help you get in touch with you so that you're able to get the clarity that you need, so that you can set your priorities, so that you can make the right choices, because all those things are part of strengthening the harmony between your life, family, and work. So by taking 5 minutes of quiet, and I just want to adjust that taking. I want you to consciously set aside 5 minutes. Now, it might be that you have to get up 5 minutes early. That's doable. Or maybe it's that you stay up 5 minutes later after you get everybody to bed. Just make it 5 minutes of your time, but no technology. And just sit quietly. And there's going to be the time when everything you need to do runs through your head, and that's okay, but eventually you'll be able to set that aside. Just sit quietly so that you can connect with yourself. If it helps to do some breathing exercises, if you're familiar with that, do breathing. If you meditate. If you don't do either of those, just sit quietly. Get the distractions out of your life and start to listen to whatever messages you might start to hear. That's the tip of the week, because it's the first step to achieving harmony. So on that note, I want to just leave you with the key takeaways from this very brief introductory session. Is the whole purpose of this session and the next 4 is to help you refine work-life balance so that that pressure by focusing on balance can get alleviated and you can focus on harmony instead of balance. Don't put so much pressure on yourself as part of this. The takeaways, I hope you've written down the words from harmony and balance, and you can spend some time thinking about how they'll show up in your life. Next time we're going to go into that deeper. And then just be aware that the busyholic syndrome can be managed regardless of where you are on the continuum of busyholic. We're all on that we all are on that continuum, but we can manage it. And then the tip of the week, make 5 minutes of quiet. And you'll be amazed at, after you do that every day, how things start to change in your own perspective, in your own energy, in how you think and feel about things. 5 minutes of quiet. That's the best time. So the next session is next Tuesday, September 6th at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The tentative topics are, we're going to delve back into some more of the characteristics between harmony and balance and how we can refine how we think about those. We're going to talk a little bit about the clarity about the roles you fill. because you all fill many roles, and how to go about making choices. And then I'll give you another tip of the week. And it's not going to be to sit for 10 minutes. Don't worry about that. It's a different tip. And so I want to say thank you for joining me. I've got 2 free gifts for you. If you are really in need of talking to somebody about harmony in your life, schedule a free strategy call with me. There's no charge. It's not a sales call about anything. It's just something to keep you moving forward. Just, we can brainstorm in 30 minutes and you can take the next step forward. But I also have a free ebook to offer you. It's called Develop a Positive Mindset in 5 Minutes a Day. And all you have to do is just copy this link and stick it into your browser and it'll download. And it's just beautifully illustrated. It gives you 1 tip a day for 31 days. And the reason I offered this and put this together is because what we experience in our day-to-day world at the moment just is so challenging to our mindsets. And there's just so much negative news that comes through and all of our technology and social media, whatever. And keeping a positive mindset is another step towards strengthening the harmony between your life, family, and work. So again, if you have questions, put those in the chat. If you would like to receive all the answers, if we have questions, we'll send those to whoever requests those. Just drop your email into the chat. And again, here's the 2 free gifts. Please access that Develop a Positive Mindset if you're interested in that, or schedule a free call. And on that note, I'm going to hop back on and say, first of all, thank you so much for joining me for this first session. I hope to see you next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and we'll just dig into this further so that you can get refined your concept of work-life balance and not add more stress to your life. So on that note, thank you. Strengthen the Harmony is a program of the Center for Strategic Change. And you can always email me, Judy at Center for Strategic Change. I'm going to leave this stream running since it's still running, thankfully. I'm going to leave it running for a few minutes. In case you have a question, you can drop it into the chat box, and hope to see you next week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.